Hello, this is Usha Rose, and today we'll be doing a Hatha Flow. So you can start in a kneeling position. I have a block underneath my sit bones in between my heels. This is a nice position to sit up nice and tall. You can close the eyes. Begin to deepen your breath. Use the breath as an anchor for your attention. Quiet the mind as you turn inwards. And bring the palms together at the heart and set an intention for your practice. Take one more deep breath here. And then we'll interlace the fingers, spin the palms up to the sky, press up through the palms, work on straightening the elbows, arm bones back. As you stretch up the arms and reach them back here, you might notice that your rib cage wants to start to flare open and stick out. We want to knit the ribs in and lengthen down a little bit through the bottom of the sternum, so bringing this area of the ribs together and slightly down. Bring your awareness into the sides of the body as you breathe and expand laterally into the sides of the rib cage and underneath the shoulders. Take 2 more deep breaths, bringing awareness into the back body, expanding into the back of the rib cage, feeling the shoulder blades on the back. Good, and then release. Let's remove the block from underneath our seat. Come to the hands and knees, bring the knees underneath the hips, and let's walk the hands forward for Anahatasana or puppy pose. Forehead to the floor, press into the palms, keep the elbows long, lengthen the tailbone back, and let the chest melt towards the floor. You can take this pose a little bit deeper, bringing the chin to the floor. If that's uncomfortable for the neck, you can keep the forehead down. Good, and from here, slide the elbows back and underneath the shoulders, preparing for forearm plank. Lift the belly towards the spine. Keep the sternum extending forward. Begin to walk the knees back. You can take this pose in the modified variation with the knees remaining down on the floor, or you can come into the full version of forearm plank, tuck the toes, and lift the knees. We'll hold for about 5 more breaths here. Isometrically, you're squeezing the arm bones towards each other and arm bones back and onto the back. Legs are strong, reaching through the heels. Sides of the neck are long. See if you can relax your face here, bringing more ease wherever you can into the body. Good, and then slowly lower the knees, the belly, the chest. Extend the arms out in front of you. Turn your head to one side. Big toes together, heels apart. Take a deep breath at resting here. And take the forehead to the floor. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Interlace your fingers a non-habitual way. So taking the opposite thumb and forefinger on top. Lift the shoulders. Lift through the back of the head. Bring your legs together, lift the legs. Spread through the toes. Lift the arm bones off the back. 2 to 3 more breaths. Extension through the legs, through the spine. Lift through the inner thighs and the inner knees, maintaining an inward rotation of the legs. And then release. Stretch your arms out in front of you and turn the head to the opposite side, taking about 3 resting breaths. Slide the palms underneath the shoulders and slowly press back into a child's pose. So take the knees apart. Peel yourself slowly off of your mat. You can bring the knees in, hips to the heels. Let's keep the arms extended out in front of us for extended child's pose. Forehead to the floor. Take 3 deep breaths, resting the hips, softening and spreading the tissues across the low back. And we'll come back to tabletop. Spread the fingers, plant the hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes under. Slowly moving into your downward facing dog. Engage the belly. Lift the knees a couple of inches off the floor. And then begin to press your belly back towards the thighs. Finding length through the shoulders, the arms, and the torso. Once you've found your downward facing dog, you can pedal the heels. Alternating, bending one knee and then the other. Turn your head a little side to side, release the neck and head, making sure there's no tension lingering through the neck or the face. Good. From your downward facing dog, lift the right leg to the sky, circle the right foot and the right ankle. Switch directions. And from here, we'll step the right foot forward between the hands. Find length through the spine and openness through the chest. If you have blocks, they might come in handy here for underneath the hands so that you can maintain a nice long line from the top of the head through the spine, all the way extending through the back heel. Lift through the inner thigh. And then we'll lower the back knee to the floor. Slowly stretch the arms up. Interlace the fingers. Point the pointer fingers up. Keep the elbows alongside the ears as you open up through the front body. Press into your feet and telescope the rib cage up, creating length through the spine and the torso. One more deep breath in. And exhale, take the hands behind the back. Again, fingers interlace. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift and open the heart. And release. Hands to the floor or the blocks. From here, we'll slowly straighten the right leg into Ardha Hanumanasana. Draw the toes towards the face. Hands underneath the shoulders. If you're using the blocks, you can find whatever height works for you. Maybe even taking your hands to the floor here. So we want to square off the hips, so traction the right thigh bone into the hip socket. Relax the nose towards the knee, chin towards the chest. 2 more breaths. And release. Come back into your long lunge. Knee over the ankle. Lift the back knee off the floor. Strengthen through the legs. Plant the left hand and stretch the right arm up for a twisting lunge. Find expansion through the chest, through the shoulders. Reach through the right fingertips. Keep your legs nice and strong here. 2 more breaths. And slowly release the hand down. Step back to plank, inhale. We'll roll to the outside edge of the left foot. Stay on the left hand, stretch the right arm up for side plank. You can modify this pose by taking the right foot on the floor, giving you stability there. Or you can take the left knee onto the floor, keeping the right leg extended. 3 more breaths in whichever variation you're in. Cinch around the waist, keep lengthening the tailbone. Last breath, stretch the right arm alongside the ear, lift the hips, and release into downward facing dog, feet hip distance apart. Move forward into plank on your inhale. Exhale, slowly lower down and onto your mat. Top of the head and top of the feet onto the floor. Curl the head and chest up for baby cobra. Take your head side to side. And we'll stretch out the neck with a little more movement. You can take a figure 8 motion. Zigzags, up and down. Open and close the mouth. Stretch the jaw and the face. And from here, tuck the toes under. Engage the legs and the core. Press up to plank. Inhale. Downward facing dog. Exhale. On your next in-breath, stretch the left leg up to the sky and circle the left foot and ankle. Stay nice and extended through the arms. The shoulders switch direction of your foot circles. And on your next exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands to find a nice long lunge. Take a few breaths here to set up the feet. Laying through the spine. As I showed earlier, you can take blocks under the hands. And lower the right knee to the floor. Stretch your arms up, interlace the fingers the non-habitual way. Point your finger towards the floor, stat guide. Squeeze the arms alongside the ear. Press down and into your legs. Lift up and out of your hips here. So the legs stay nice and engaged. That helps to protect the low back and the pelvis. On your next exhale, take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers again the non-habitual way. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other and push them into the back of the heart, opening through the chest. You can lift the gaze, stay strong in the legs and through the feet. Relax your left toes. Deep breath into the front of the chest and then exhale, release the hands to the floor or take your blocks under the hands for Ardha Hanumanasana. Straightening the left leg, draw the toes back and towards the face. Lengthen out of the low back as you fold the belly towards the thigh. One more breath here. And then walk the hands forward, bend the left knee. Align the knee over the ankle, plant the hands, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee off the floor, and then strengthen your legs. You should be able to take the hands off the floor just to know that all of the engagement activity is in the legs here supporting you. Plant the right hand. You can also take a block under the hand here for your twist. Strong in the legs. Feel an extension from the right heel all the way through the top of the head. Expand across the chest and the upper back. And exhale, release the hand to the floor. Step back to plank on your inhale. Roll to the outside of the right foot. Left arm reaches up. Legs are strong. Cinching around the waist. Remembering your modifications, you can take the left foot on the floor or you can take the right knee down. Last breath, inhale, lift the hips, arm bone alongside the left ear. And slowly release it into downward facing dog. Deepen your breath. And on your inhale, move forward into plank. Slowly lower forward and down onto the belly. Inhale to baby cobra. And exhale back into child's pose, hips to the heels. This time we'll take the palms together, arms alongside the ears, and bend the elbows. Taking the thumbs to the back of the head and neck. Relax the low back and the hips. Release the hands to the floor. Back to downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to the feet for a forward fold. Take the hands to the opposite elbow, crossing the elbows, and we'll turn the torso slightly from side to side. Release through the low back. The knees can stay bent, feet are hip distance apart. Work on lengthening through the back of your knees. Release the head and neck by giving it a little turn side to side. Release the hands to the floor, turn the toes out, keeping the heels slightly in, and we'll come into a squat here. I'll turn so you can see me. Palms together. It's a nice stretch for the low back and the hips. And I'll be mirroring you now. I'm going to take your right shoulder underneath the right knee, extend the right arm out, and spread the left arm up to the sky. You can take the left hand now behind the back for a half bind, and maybe going for the full bind, wrap the right arm underneath the shin and reach for the fingertips. You may even be able to grasp the left wrist with the right hand. One more breath here. And release. Hands back to the center. Slide your left shoulder underneath the left knee, spreading the arms wide. Adding a half bind, letting the right arm just rest behind the back. And take the left hand underneath the shin, reaching for the fingertips or the right wrist with the left hand. Last breath. And release back into your squat. Hands to the floor, come back to your forward fold at the back of your mat. And we'll walk into plank pose. Hold plank for 5 breaths, strengthening the core. Sides of the neck are long, arm bones are back, sternum is extending forward, top of the head is extending forward, tailbone is long, extend through the backs of the legs and heels. Slowly lower down, bending the elbows, bringing the sternum and chest forward as you lower. Forehead to the floor. Tops of the feet onto the floor. Interlace the fingers behind the back. And we'll lift the head and chest, lift the legs, 3 breaths. Strengthen the back body. You can relax your glutes a little bit here using the backs of the legs. And slowly release forehead to the floor. We'll come back into child's pose. And in your child's pose, you can stay where you are on your mat. I'm just going to turn. You're going to walk your body over to the right. Lift your belly up, lay it on top of the right thigh, and take a nice deep side stretch for the left side of the body. Take the left hand on top of the right to emphasize the side body stretch. Keep relaxing the head towards the floor and deepen the breath into the left side. One more breath here. And walk your hands through the center and over to your left. Lift the belly slightly to deepen the stretch, coming over onto the left thigh. Right hand on top of the left. Keep your hips anchored down here, creating traction from the right hip through the right shoulder, all the way to the right hand. One more breath. And back to the center. Slowly rising up into downward facing dog. Spread the fingers, press into all parts of the hands. We'll bend the knees in our down dog and swivel the hips all the way to the right. Stretch your belly towards the thighs, bending the knees, and you should feel a nice deep stretch through the left shoulder blade and the left side body, finding that side bend again. Inhale back to the center and exhale over to the left with your heels, pressing the hips back, belly towards the thighs. Continue to press evenly through the shoulders and arms, getting a nice side body stretch for the left side. For the right side. Coming back to the center. And from here, we'll start with the left leg this time. Lift your left leg up. Bend the left knee, stack the left hip over the right. Keep your shoulders even. Press up into the hips, away from the hands. Reach the left heel towards your butt. And we'll slowly step the right foot forward into a warrior two. So the left hand is going to come, left foot between the hands, spin the right heel down, and cartwheel the arms open. Good, spread the fingertips. You can take a longer stance if you would like, or shorter depending on what feels comfortable in your body. We'll reach the left fingertips forward and down the back leg. Peaceful warrior, 2 more breaths. Slowly straighten the front leg. Reach the fingertips forward, forward, forward for triangle pose. Right arm up. You can lift the gaze, strengthen the legs. Soften the shoulder blades onto the back. One more deep breath here. Press into your back leg. We'll release the right hand to the floor. Spin the back heel up and step your left foot in a couple of inches, bringing the right foot slightly out to the right. We want to be able to square the hips here. So you might take blocks underneath your hands to lengthen the low back and keep your spine extended. Release the nose towards the knee. Stay anchored into your back leg, pressing down into the back heel and the outside of your right foot. And from here, we'll lengthen the low back. Make sure the hips are squared. You can take the left hand to your left hip, pull the outer left hip back. Begin to rotate the torso to the left for rotated triangle pose. So extending the left arm up. Squeeze through the inner thighs as you root down and extend down through the legs and feet. Expansion across the back. And slowly release. Bend the left knee. Spin the back heel up, finding your long lunge, and step back to downward facing dog. Moving into second side, stretch the right leg up, bend the right knee and stack the right hip over the left. Keep your arm bones even with each other, pressing equally into the hands. Reach the right heel towards the hip, opening up through the right side. Slowly we'll step forward into warrior two. Spin the back heel down, cartwheel the arms open, gaze over the right fingertips. Lengthen through the pubic bone and tailbone down. Reach forward with the right arm. Slide the left hand down the back leg for peaceful warrior. Deep breaths into this right side body. Reach to the right fingertips. And we'll straighten the right leg. Reach the right arm forward, 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 forward. Press into your back foot. Release the right fingertips towards the floor or the shin. You can also take a block underneath the hand. Extend through the left fingertips up. Lengthen the tailbone and soften the front body into the back body. Relax the face. And from here, we'll slowly release the left hand down. Bend the front leg slightly. Spin your back heel up and step your left foot forward. We'll also be stepping the left foot a little bit to the left so your feet are slightly apart, like hip distance apart. So remember, here is a great place to use blocks under the hands to maintain extension through the spine. We want to keep the channels, the pathways for the breath open. So using blocks are a great option if you're having to really collapse and round, particularly through the low back. We want to keep the low back nice and long, and then we can soften as we fold forward. Release the nose towards the knee and stay connected to your back foot, reaching the back heel towards the floor. Good, let's re-extend through the spine, lengthen up through the chest. You might take a block under the left hand here, preparing for our rotated triangle pose. Squeeze the inner thighs towards each other, extend down into the legs. Lengthen the spine forward, heart forward as you twist to the right. You can use the right hand on the hip to kind of anchor the hip back, keeping the hip square. And then re-extend the right arm up towards the sky. Deep breaths. Soften through the face. Soften through the tops of the shoulders. Good, and then slowly release the hand down. Bend the front knee, find your nice long lunge, and step back into downward facing dog. Good. We'll take about 3 breaths here, or you can take a rest in child's pose, bringing the knees to the floor, hips to the heels. The arms can stay extended or release them under the head. If you are in child's pose, come back to downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, you can either walk, step, or hop your feet to the top of your mat. We'll come into a forward fold here, lengthen the spine, and then release on your exhale. Step the feet together, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Bend the knees and stretch your arms up for chair pose. Weight is in the heels. Tailbone is nice and long. Squeeze the thighs towards each other. Palms towards each other. Inhale, rise up onto the balls of the feet. Lengthen the tailbone, low belly lifts. Extend up through the fingertips. And then exhale, release the hands to the heart, heels to the floor. Release the arms alongside the body, finding mountain pose. In mountain pose, I like to take my feet a little bit further apart, lining the ankles up under the sit bones and the outside edges of the feet parallel. You want to feel your hips are stacked over the ankles. Arm bones back, shoulders over the hips. Ears over shoulders. Lift through the crown of the head. Close the eyes and take 3 deep breaths here. We'll come next into Garudasana, or eagle pose. So I will be your mirror. You can bring the weight into your right leg first. Cross the left leg over the right, can help to take the hands on the hips. And you can either take your left toes onto the floor for balance, like a kickstand, or you'll wrap the toes around the ankle for the full pose. Take the arms out wide, spreading across the chest, and then take the left arm underneath the right. Give yourself a hug, reach the fingertips towards the shoulder blades, and then bind the arms. If wrapping the hands around the wrist is difficult, you can just press the forearms together, or keep your arms in this hug version. Sink the hips a little bit deeper, core is engaged. Find a spot to focus the gaze, then relax the muscles around the eyes and in the forehead. Lift the elbows and move the forearms away from the face. 2 more breaths. Relax your right toes. And then slowly unravel. As you unravel the legs and arms, reach the arms up, step your left foot underneath the left sit bone. And bring the palms down into the heart, exhaling. As you're ready, bring the weight into your left leg. As you shift your weight into one-legged standing balances, it helps to bring your energy inwards towards the midline of the body, extending down into your standing leg and up through the heart and crown of your head. So we'll bend slightly in that left leg, cross the right thigh over the right, wrap the toes or take the kickstand variation. Take your arms wide apart and bring your right arm underneath the left, binding the arms. Sink the hips a little bit deeper. Lift the elbows, forearms away from the face. Lift the corners of your mouth up. Relax the forehead and the eyes. Tailbone long, belly engaged. 3 more breaths. Slowly unravel the arms, unravel the legs. Step the foot exactly where you'd like it to be. Reach the arms up. Deep breath in. Exhale the hands to the heart. Find mountain pose. Close the eyes. Good, and from the top of the mat, hands together, exhale. Inhale the arms around and up. Fold forward over the legs, exhaling, hinging at the hips. Hands to the floor and step back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, stretch the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, bring the right knee forward towards the right wrist. Extend back through the heel, the left heel. Inward rotation of the back leg, point the toes back, walk your hands back. Lengthen up through the spine, and then fold the belly forward, coming into pigeon pose. If the forehead doesn't come to the floor here, you can take a block underneath the head. Bring your hands to wherever they're comfortable. You can let them rest underneath the forehead or take them out to the sides. Soften through the shoulders. Relax the hips towards the earth, allowing gravity to do the work for you here. And slowly sitting up. Plant the palms underneath the chest, tuck the back toes, and step back into downward facing dog. Moving into the second side from downward facing dog, lift the left leg up, deep breath in, and on your exhale, bring the knee towards the left wrist, lowering it to the floor. Tuck your back toes to help you extend the back leg, and then you can untuck the toes, keeping an inward rotation of the right thigh towards the sky. Lengthen up through the spine, and then walk the belly forward. To deepen this pose, you can work on bringing your ankle more further forward and bringing the shin more parallel to the top of your mat, only if you need it to be deeper. We want to work on getting the hips squared, the right hip down, and the hips even to each other before we start adjusting the foot. And we'll take about 5 resting breaths here, letting your hips and all the muscles around the hip joint relax, soften, and lengthen. Good. Let's slide the hands underneath the shoulders and slowly sit up. And this time we'll roll onto the right hip and come into Baddha Konasana, bring the soles of the feet together. Sit up nice and tall. Press the feet into each other, knees out. Bring the heels in towards the groin and we'll fold forward. You can walk your hands forward if that's more comfortable for you, or keep the hands around the feet. Maybe bring the elbows to the floor, or you can take a block under the elbows. Slowly sit up. We'll bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Knees are bent, hip distance apart, hands forward, and slowly roll down the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Gently engaging your core abdominal muscles to move with control and lower down. Once the shoulder blades hit the floor, you can begin to release the palms down alongside the hips. We'll slide the feet in so you're about a hand's length from the butt to the heel. And your heels are about hip distance apart in line with your sitting bones. We'll keep the thighs parallel with each other, press down into the feet, shoulder blades together underneath the heart, and lift the hips. Interlace the fingers, press the arm bones into the floor. Keep the sides of the neck nice and long as you press into the floor and lift the hips. Lengthen the tailbone towards the heels. Keep your thighs parallel. Deep breaths into the belly and chest. Long exhales. 2 more breaths here. Release the bind in the hands, and with control, slowly lowering one vertebrae at a time back into the floor. Good. We'll take the arms a little bit wider apart. Take your feet about the distance of your mat apart, and we'll rock the knees from side to side to release the hips. You can let your head turn side to side as well in the same or opposite direction of the knees. And then hug the knees into the chest. Rock gently side to side. And from here we'll take a happy baby pose. Soles of the feet towards the sky, knees in towards the armpits. You can wrap the arms around the thighs, ankles, or outside edges of the feet. Deepen your breath here. And we'll straighten the right leg out to the side just as much as you can. Stretching nice and deeply into the inner thigh. And then switch sides, bending the right knee and extending the left leg as straight as possible. And release that leg. Bring both of the knees back together. Rock a little bit side to side. Hug the right knee into the chest, stretch the left leg out. Extend through the bottom of the left foot, and we'll take a gentle side reclining twist. So right arm out, the right knee moves across and over to the left. You can turn your head to the right. Deepen the breath here. Relax the forehead. And slowly come back up to the center, hugging the right knee to the chest. And switch sides. Hug the left knee and extend your right leg nice and long, reaching through the bottom of the right foot. And then bring the knee over to the right. Extend the left arm out to a T. Turn your head to the left. Allow the shoulder blades to melt into the floor and deepen the breath to expand and lengthen through the low back and the hips. And slowly come back to the center, hug the left knee in, stretch the right leg out, and then we'll extend the left leg. Coming into Shavasana, you can rock the feet a little bit side to side, shimmy the shoulder blades underneath the back, palms up, feet are slightly separated, close the eyes. Take 3 deep breaths as you settle into your final pose of Shavasana. Allow the eyeballs to sink into the back of the head. Allow the front of the body to sink down into the floor. Relax the cheeks, the jaw, and the tongue. Feel free to stay in Shavasana for as much time as you have. At least 5 minutes would be ideal. And when you're ready to come out of the pose, you can roll over onto your side. And then get up nice and slowly. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.